Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we want to talk about some prospects today, as we always do. I have two guys in mind that I'd like to talk about. One being Luigi Suigo out of Italy, 7'3" center, 250-ish pounds, give or take. And the other being Alex Karaban, UConn legend, two-time NCAA champion, 6'7", 220 pounds, small forward, power forward combination. Let's start with Suigo. We'll start with Suigo. Suigo is a guy who's emerging onto the big scene right now and has options. So there's no guarantee he'll be in this draft at all. But at 7'3", 250, he is somebody we need to consider as a potential lottery talent in this year's draft if he does decide to. Now, from what I understand, he did insert his name into the NBA draft, but he also is listening to a lot of NCAA teams. I know BYU has a lot of interest. From what I understand, multiple teams have interest. So, whatever situation makes sense to him, he'll just obviously take it. The numbers do not excite, to be honest with you, but it's in limited minutes, so you got to take into account that. 8 minutes, 8 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.5 steals, and 1.0 blocks. 55% shooting from the field, 63% from the free throw line, and 30% from three. Those numbers are not exciting. However, he passes the eye test. He can shoot very, very well as it pertains to all three levels. His three-point shot is comfortable. His mid-range shot, he'll pop on you, and dunk and everything. So this is a guy who, I don't remember what the number was. I don't want to exaggerate, but in one of the big games that he played in, he had over 11 blocks in the game. It was a big game with a lot of high stakes, and he swatted everything. So this is a guy who has a lot of confidence. For a guy that's 7'3", he is extremely swift with his feet. He ain't no Wemby or nothing like that, but he's extremely swift, light on his feet, body very much under control. He looks like the next level version of the slow big center, to where a lot of those guys look clunky in the past. This guy has fluidity about his movements that you don't see with guys that are built like him. So he just passes the eye test more than anything, man. And he can help you on both sides. I think he's somebody who needs to be taken extremely seriously in this draft. Extremely seriously. I see a guy who could potentially be a lottery pick. Really, especially with the scarcity of centers in this draft, guys going back to school, stuff like that. This guy emerging late onto the scene will be somebody who changes the dynamic of what the draft, most people's draft board is going to look like. I can just tell you that right now. I've heard some people that say they expect him to go, if he does come into this draft, late first round. I don't see that. I don't think he falls that far. Man. With all the teams that could use bigs, you talk about a team like OKC, who has the ability to bring on a different type of center. Even though they drafted a center last year, he's not going to stop them from drafting another one, in my opinion. Teams like Charlotte, who need size really bad. Golden State, who's had issues with size in the past. Chicago, who really needs a center really bad. There are several teams in this lottery that could use centers. Some of those teams, all three of those teams, have multiple first-round picks. So there's nothing for them to use one of them on a guy like Suigo. So I'm telling people, man, early, be very, very aware of Luigi Suigo. Laker fans, Lakers organization, be very aware of Luigi Suigo, because if he's available at 25 and he's in this draft, you need to take a very good look at maybe taking him, man, depending on what else is on that board, depending on what else you guys see. I think this is somebody that needs to be taken extremely seriously in that range. Extremely seriously. Like crazy seriously. So that's just something I want to say. It's not a whole lot of games to go by as it pertains to the footage. I did watch a lot of highlights of him, on him, based on the little splices of games that were available. Nothing put together for like a 25-minute collage, though, unfortunately. He's an international prospect, so it's not like you're going to be able to get great footage of him, and I think that will hurt his draft stock a little, but it's always something that hurts those guys' draft stock. You know what I mean? European guys, if you can't get enough footage on them, or even American guys, if you can't get enough footage on them, it always scares teams away to some degree. But I'm telling you, the little footage that I saw tells me that he's going to play in the NBA. He's going to play in the NBA. That part is a no-brainer. The stuff that he was doing on that floor on both sides popped off the screen, man. I can't stress it enough. He just looked like a very, very fluid, moving 7'3" guy. Next coming up like a Rick Smits or something like that, or a little quicker version of Jonas Ilgauskas. Who else, man? I see some Yao Ming in this guy. Definitely some Yao Ming in there, but better as it pertains to his movements. You know, Yao Ming had a lot of foot issues. Obviously, Yao Ming's a more talented player than Suigo, but like that's who I see, man. That's who I see. I see that type of guy, man. Stretch the floor with absolute ease. He's going to be a better shooter all the way around, and per 36 minutes, he's going to be a double-double guy for certain. I don't know if he's going to give you 36 minutes, but he seemed to run the floor pretty well. And he seemed to be able to keep up with the speed of the game in Europe. You know, some of the little guys, he was able to keep up with them. 7'3". And again, you know, we understand that there are certain types of 7'3" guys. Chet Holmgren and Wemby have changed the game as it pertains to 7'3" guys. I respect that, but he's not that. That's not. He's more traditional on big 7'3", not guard hybrid type thing. But there's still a great deal of need for this type of player, just the same, man. You know, he's not a ball handler like that. He's not crossing people, all types of crazy stuff like that. You're not going to find that player but twice in this world right now. But just the same, when you talk about the next level version of the Rick Smits type dude, I think that's who Suigo's going to be. He's going to be that type of player. And if y'all remember Rick Smits back in Indiana, that was a guy who made several all-star teams. The Indiana team was really good. He was a big part of that. I ain't forgot because he used to give us hell when we see him as a Laker fan. So, yeah, that's who I see in Luigi Suigo, man. I think he's somebody who needs to be taken very seriously. If he's in this draft, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the first center taken in the draft. I would not be surprised at all if he's taken before Mara. Because in some ways, he looked better than Mara. So that's just really the truth. So that's about as much as I can say about Luigi Suigo, man. I encourage people to do some homework on that player, especially if you need a center. You need to know who that is. You should already know who that is if you're in NBA circles. And with Krivas going back to school, Agongwa going back to school, yeah, this guy is definitely somebody who's going to ultimately take their place in this draft on most draft boards. That's just what it's going to be. So, yeah, that's what I want people to know about. Be aware of Luigi Suigo out of Italy. All right, next up, we are talking about Alex Karaban. Alex Karaban is a guy who most NBA teams know because he was projected to go to the NBA draft for the last 4 years. He just decided to stay in school every year. But, like, most of the draft videos that I saw from him were from last year. Excellent shooter. 6'11" wingspan. 6'7" in height, around 220. Gonna be 23 and a half on draft day, so obviously a 4-year college guy. Very decorated. Built to be a role player for certain. Definitely not somebody who's gonna blow your socks off defensively, but he moves excellent without the ball. He shoots above 40%. He did have one season that threw off that shooting percentage a little bit, but historically he doesn't miss many threes. Makes the extra play. He was the guy who got the ball to the shooter in UConn. What's his name? My guy, Braylon Mullins, for that big shot against Duke that shot down the Boozer brothers. He was the guy who made the pass for that long three-point shot. He passed up his own contested shot to get the ball to his shooter, and they were able to win that big game off of his assist. So that's, Karaban has been doing a lot of good things for a long time. He's won in this league, played with the likes of Stephon Castle and again, Braylon Mullins and Donovan Clingan. He's already, he has continuity with guys who are in this league making a real name for themselves, and he was a big part of their championship teams. He was the starting small forward, hitting a bunch of shots, averaging 13 points per 36 minutes, 13.8 points, only 1.1 turnover, which is a strength of his. zero point 0.9 steals, 0.9 blocks, 2 assists, and 5.5 boards. 85% from the free throw line, 37% from three, 46% from the field. Just a very, very smart basketball player. Good assist to turnover ratio. His offensive rating is solid. Good free throw shooter. Excellent three-point shooter. This is just somebody who's going to be an excellent role player. He fits very well in a lot of situations where teams look for role players who are going to stick around, hit shots, and sit down. Play off the ball. He's not going to create for himself. He's not going to defend very well. Not a great handle. He's more a traditional shooter. But with his big size and his excellent off-ball ability to get open, his length and stuff like that's going to have him stumble in the blocks and in the steals in theory. He's been compared to guys like Ryan Anderson back in the day, although I don't really know. Honestly, don't know. I see, Bojan Bogdanovic a little bit there, type of shooter, although Bojan was probably a bit better creating for himself. High side of things, probably like a Peja Stojakovic type of guy, although he definitely does not have that type of ceiling. But when I think about Peja and how he used to run off of screens, catch the ball in the corner, shoot, that kind of thing, that's kind of what I'm looking at. But more of a role player, as I was saying earlier today, for a team like the Lakers, for example, this would be an excellent player to get in the second round because he's ready to contribute. He's excellent off the ball, so he can catch the balls from Luka and Austin and then Bron. And he's already proven he can win. He's going to make the right play. He's going to pass up the shot. He's going to take, he's not going to turn the ball over. He does have the ability to play the four, play the three as well, and should have a long career because of what he's good at. You don't have athleticism there. You don't have creation there. You don't have defensive ability necessarily. He's not expected to be a good defender. But for somebody who you want to play off ball for a bunch of shot creators and playmakers, this is a guy who's probably going to play in the league for a long time, shooting over 40%. You know what I mean? Most years. A guy who's already had a decorated career with championships under his belt. A guy who's already understood in a lot of NBA circles. Players have played against him. People in the league, they already know who he is. So, this is a guy who's a really, really safe floor. I would say a rock-solid floor. Doesn't have much of a ceiling at all. This is probably the player he's going to be for the rest of his career. But at the very least, he's going to be somebody who comes off your bench and hits a bunch of shots, makes the right play, somebody you can trust, somebody that ultimately is ready to contribute right away. So he fits in a lot of situations. I think he fits on my Lakers very well. I think he would fit in the Denver situation very well. Teams that need shooting and scoring like Orlando and Houston, I think he could fit in those situations. Teams like Chicago who have guys like Giddey, any type of player like that, Luka, Jokic, playmakers like that, he fits in well. A team like San Antonio who's ready to win right now, Thunder ready to win right now, Pistons who could use shooting ready to win right now. He fits in all of those situations. He fits. He's not. Karaban's a guy for me where it matters how you get him, because if you use a high draft pick on him, you probably feel like you didn't do the right thing. But once you get him here, if you play him to the role that you expect for him to play, he's going to be a star in that role. That's who he is. He's going to be a star in that role. And in the world of Rui Hachimura and Jake LaRavias, Alex Karaban has a place in this league. You know what I'm saying? Those players matter. Those role players, they harbor a great deal of a purpose and value to their franchises once they get there. Especially playoff teams like the Timberwolves and stuff like that. New York Knicks. All of those teams that are in the playoffs right now, who expect to be in the playoffs going forward, teams like the Pacers who want to be in the playoffs going forward, Alex Karaban should be on your radar. You don't expect to use a first-round pick on him. You probably expect for him to fall into the second round, maybe, somewhere around 38, 39 he should be taken. But he's the exact piece that you buy a second-round draft pick to draft if you're one of those teams. You get him because he's ready to go. You don't have high expectations for him being a star. You're bringing him to a situation where that stuff is already established, and you could use the shooting, and you could use the basketball IQ, and you could use the off-ball movement. You know what I mean? And if you're not bringing him there for those things, you're doing the wrong thing. That's my opinion. So, yeah, that's Alex Karaban for you, man. Real strong level shooter, man. Real strong level shooter, proven winner. Somebody who what he does should translate to the NBA rather easily. And seems like a player you can trust, man. Seems like a player you can trust. His resume is extensive in college. He did all 4 years. He knows what he's doing. He's a grown man. He's ready. He's ready. You know, he's ready to be a part of a winning situation, whether it be in the NBA or overseas, in my opinion. Not somebody I expect to spend too much time in the G League at all, to be honest. So, yeah, that's Alex Karaban, man. Low ceiling, solid, rock solid floor. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. Rock solid floor. Because the things that he does best are things that he can do anywhere in the world, so long as he has people who can find him. You know, people who can play defense around him, rim protectors around him, and stuff like that. If he's not asked to do any of those things, guys who can create for themselves, guys who are dribbling and shooting and passing and dunking and flying around him, he gonna be open, creating all types of space for those guys, space creators. You know, there's a couple space creators in this draft, and I think he's in their range, especially with some height on him. I think it's important that we consider players like Isaiah Evans, guys like Henry Vasar, Christian Anderson. They all play different positions, but they're all known for their shooting. And the guys at the top of the draft who are great shooters, like Darius Acuff, LeBaron Philon, Bennett Sturts, guys who are going to knock down shots. Karaban is a part of that vision, to where if you need spacing, you need somebody to be able to play off ball, catch and shoot. You're trying to figure out if you're going to take Karaban. You're trying to figure out if you're going to take Evans. You're trying to figure out if you're going to take Christian Anderson. That's kind of where you're, and of course at the center position once again, Henry Vasar. Those are guys that you know are going to hit shots, create space for your guys. So Detroit, Houston, Lakers, all these teams that need spacing, those are guys that you should probably have circled as areas of need fillers. Yeah, so that's really what comes to mind. A team that doesn't get Isaiah Evans, who really wanted Isaiah Evans, probably will settle for Alex Karaban. And Alex probably going to help him sooner, that type of thing. So that's what I want to say, man. That's really what it is. Where you take Alex Karaban matters, though, man. I'm not taking him in the lottery. You know what I mean? I need guys with upside if I'm doing that. I don't want to take him at 25 if a guy like Koa Pete's on the board, that kind of thing. No. But he's a trade-down candidate for some of those teams in that spot if they really want that type of piece, or a buy into the second-round guy that you absolutely target with intention at the top of that second round. So, yeah, Karaban, I think his career is going to be just fine, man. He's going to be a role player, not going to be no all-star teams. Probably ain't going to start in most situations, but he's a specialty off-ball shooter that has a very nice high basketball IQ. So, that's really what I want to say, man. Suigo and Karaban, I think those are going to be some very important players in this draft, in their respective ranges. Wherever that would be for Suigo, I'm thinking it's probably in the lottery, honestly. We'll see what happens in the combine, if he goes back to school or not. But the four-year guy, Karaban's definitely going to be in this draft. He will be available to any NBA team, and I think he'll find a spot. I definitely think he'll find a spot. BDO 44, I thank y'all for watching. Wow.